Welcome back, everybody. Mr. Young here, computer science and IT teacher at Webster Groves High School. Part 5 is going to pick up where 4 left off, and that is how issues can automatically be moved into the project automation for collaborators to see what needs to be completed. And then we'll get into how do you work within a branch and what does that look like on the brackets side of things. So where the video left off was me showing you how automation can work. So a teammate can go into the website and say, I want to request or state that there's an issue with the footer. So I'm going to state footer is missing, I don't know, social media icons and links. Okay? And then if I want to get more detail, I could here. I think that we should add social media links down in the footer of every web page. Okay, so I can submit that as an issue. If I wanted to, I could go through and kind of format it and change it and add links to external web pages if I needed to support mine in any way. They have a preview option if you want to preview how it looks, and then you can say submit the issue. Now, in the previous video on part 4, we talked a little bit about projects, and projects are where you isolate really major categories of tasks that need to happen with your project. So maybe there's a team of people who are responsible for just the company logo, and there's a team that are responsible for the jQuery image slider, and a team responsible for the actual content, and a team responsible for the photography. Each of those teams could actually have their own project section where tasks are assigned to that specific project. So on a jQuery image slider, I had a couple of items here. I said, that there was one in progress where they were adding the code, and then we'd already completed adding the images. And what I want to make it so that automatically, if there is an issue, that it will make those show up. So I said move issues when they're newly added issues. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Sorry. Let's go back here to issues. I don't know that I assigned that to a specific project. Okay, so we're backing up. Here's my issue. I think we should add a footer. What I didn't do is go over here on the right and assign it labels and projects and so on. So if you had multiple people on your team, you could actually assign this footer issue to a specific team member. Then there's the label section. What kind of issue is this? Is this a bug where something's just broken and not working? Is it that you think that something needs to be removed? There's a duplicate. Is this an enhancement? And so on. So you have different ways that you can go through and do this. So let's see. I'm going to say that this is really an enhancement that needs to be addressed. Okay, so there it is listed as an enhancement, and it color codes them based on the priority. What project? Now, I know students, you're hearing project and you're thinking, oh, my whole website project, but we're saying within the project, what is the sub-project that you're working on? So this is jQuery team that actually, it really wouldn't be the jQuery team, would it? That wouldn't make sense. Let's go into project and add one that says, I don't know, footer. There's a footer project. Okay, now let me go back. And I can say that the project, let's see, is footer, and there it is. Then if I want to, I can set a milestone if I want to, it's not really that critical here. Let's see if there's anything else that should do it. Now if I go over to projects, there's a footer one. Guess what? We need to add our columns really quickly, because this demo forgot to actually do that. So I'm going to add a column, and maybe I'm going to call it to do, like I did earlier, and you don't have to do any work because they have them to where you can set them up. What goes in the to do? Newly added. Okay, done. Then I'm going to add another one that says in progress. I'm just using the ones on my other team. In progress. If something has been reopened, it should automatically go there. That makes sense. And then I'm going to add another one that says, they say done. I know the English teachers out there would prefer that maybe that says finish, but you see done. Okay, and if it's closed. Okay, now let me go into this automation here and see, do I have anything Issues will automatically move here when added to this. All right, let's go over to my issue. Here's my issue. Set to these guys. It should be okay. Issue. Okay, now if everything is working the way it's supposed to be, it's supposed to automatically show up here. What does it say? It's actually showing up over here. Give me 1 second to see what this problem is. Okay, I believe I understand what the issue was. Because we did not have these columns set up and automation was set for any issues, it didn't know where to put it. So I put it over here and labeled it as a triage item. So I just dragged and dropped it over to do. So in the future, any issue that we make should show up there. So let's just test this working theory out here. Let me make another issue here and say, I don't know, header needs a logo. And I will say that that is an enhancement. And I want to assign that to my footer team. Submit issue. All right, and if I go into projects and footer team, yeah, there it is. That's exactly what it was. Since the columns weren't there, it didn't know where to put it, so I put it over there in a little triage tent. Which if my ER now, it serves me right. A triage is basically just an area where you don't have a full hospital ready, so you just kind of work, in this little crisis world and get things done. Okay. So there is that. So let's take a look at branches. So I'm going to go back to my project. And again, the way you get back to the project is up here. Just click on the name of the actual overall project. And you see we have a spot here that says branch. We have one branch. Again, the master branch is where the final project really gets put. You're not really supposed to work in that master area. Because if everyone's working from there, then it doesn't give the ability to work in isolation without causing all these interconnected problems. So I'm going to say that I want to create a branch. So in order to do that, I've switched back over to the code tab and I've gone to right where it says branch. And I'm going to say, it says right here, find or create a branch. And I'm going to make one that's called, I don't know, the footer branch, where I can work on just fixing the footer in isolation from the rest of the team. I'm going to put in their footer. And did it save it? I guess I have to press enter. Create footer. Okay, and you will notice now on the project, it says right here that I am no longer working on the master branch. Again, I do get copies of all the files, but now any changes that I make here in the footer branch are not going to automatically make changes on the master branch for the whole team. I'm working in isolation right now, although everybody else can follow me on the team. If we go now and we look under branches, you see it says 2, and there is a new branch called footer, and it even lets you know which person on the team is responsible for that branch. This is also a place where somebody on the team can actually put in a pull request or a feature request for a specific branch user. So maybe everybody in the team knows I'm responsible for the footer, and they go, oh, you know what, I think we should also put social media down there. They can go through and add a specific request there, and then because we've got our automation all set up, that would show up over in our projects to-do list. So it really is pretty cool how all of this ties together. Organizationally, I think that this is worth its weight in gold. Okay, so you can see if I switch, I can switch over to any one of these I want. I'm back to footer. And if I go over to brackets, which we haven't seen in a while, you'll notice up here it says what branch you're currently working on. So just in general, students, you don't want to ever really see the word master show up here unless you're getting ready to commit long-term changes. Now, one thing you might have to do if you created this branch after quite a bit later after doing an update or a fetch is you may have to click over here where it says master and say create a new branch and then spell it exactly the same. So therefore you are working on the same branch that exists over on GitHub. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to type some basic code here. I'm not actually going to do anything complex here because this is not about coding, but I'm just going to say this is the footer section. I don't need a period there. I'm going to say file, save, I made a change to the footer. Again, I'm on the footer branch, not the master, so nobody else in any of the other branches will see this change unless I commit to the master. I'm going to say, yes, I want to take this and commit it. And I am going to say footer updated. Okay. And I would be ready now to make a push. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say push, and let's just double check. It says current tracking branch, none. Footer branch will be created on remote. It's going to, hopefully it doesn't give me an error. It should find it. Okay, push to current tracking branch. Everything else there looks good. I'm just going to check that and press OK. And it's going to say successfully pushed forward. Now you'll notice here it says the local branch's footer. It pushed it successfully to the footer branch. So when we go to look at our code here in a second, there should not be a change on the master branch, but there should be on the footer branch. Let's find out. So again, I'm working in complete isolation from the rest of my team on the footer project on the footer branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and take a look. Now, you'll notice there's a code update. It did get my code update, but it says that I am on branch footer over here. So if I switch over to the master branch, you will notice there is no footer down there whatsoever. And so that's one of the amazing things in my mind about GitHub is the fact that you can work on files in isolation from a teammate and not cause any collaboration issues or not mess up files that they were working on, because, you know, hypothetically, and this is something that's happened to me and with students in the past, is students are working on the same file at the same time, and one has done a bunch of work while the other one has not gotten any of that work updated on their file. They have significantly less. And when they save over all of the work with a file that now has considerably less work. So this is actually going to prevent that. And so you can see if I go over to my footer branch, everything is good. So now what do we do if we want to put this permanently onto the master branch? Okay, this part's going to be really important, and that is making a final change to our master. We're satisfied. The team supervisor has approved it on the web side of things. So if they do have that collaborator permission settings in place, which I'll show in a future video, they want to make sure the supervisor has approved this. If it has not been set up, then we're just going to be able to make this merge pretty quickly here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to make a push. Again, I'm on the footer branch, and I'm going to push. Now you'll notice there's no 1 down there, which means there were no files set for commitment. So I'm going to say I want to push this to another branch, because right now it's set to pushing that footer again. And it's going to say, okay, which branch do you want it to go to? Well, I'm going to put it in the master branch, and make sure everything else looks good. Everything else looks good, and press OK. And it says that the reference was up to date and did not need pushing. So let's double check here really quickly, see if we got it all right. Okay, after doing a little digging, I think I've found the solution here. So we're going to go up to the branch, and we're going to hover over the master and then say we want to merge. Once we merge, it's going to say which particular branch do we want to merge with. Okay, so we have the target footer. Let's go ahead and let's back up for a second, because what I'm worried is we're going to do this backwards. So I'm going to go in here and go to the master and then hover over footer and say I want to merge the footer. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to take the code from the footer and put it onto the master. I would have done that backwards. You live and you learn here. Okay, so let me repeat that again. I'm on the master and I'm hovering over footer and saying I want to merge code from the footer. And it's going to say the target branch where it's going to end up. The changes are going to end up in the master. And I'm going to press OK, and it should say that it is updating. 1 file change, 3 insertions made. So I'll press close. Now you'll notice I am on the master branch, and guess what? There's now a footer there that wasn't there before. If you remember, that footer only existed on the footer branch, but because we have now merged code from the footer into the master, it's now there. And you'll see down here at the bottom, it says, wait a second, You did this locally, which is awesome, but you now have 2 changes that need to be put into the repository so that GitHub knows.